Good morning, afternoon, whatever it may be, wherever you are. And welcome to Cup of Joe with Poe. I'm your wayward traveler, Don Poe. Today we'll be discussing prison reform. Now, I've got 8 years of experience in this from the inmate side of it. Now, prison can do two things to a person. It can actually help them and reform them, or it can make them worse. Now, in between that, there's people that have actual jobs, 9 to 5s. Those are your correctional officers. The prison as it works. Now, the prison is like a city. And if a city is operating properly and doing its part that it should for society as a whole, then it works correctly. Prison system currently that I am aware of from my side of things is broken horribly. Just like yesterday's episode, police officers, when they show up, they should be physically capable to do their job. Correction officers should be held to the same standard. Now, there's a difference in between a state facility and a private facility. A state facility will have more stricter rules and can also have unions and things like that within their, same with private, within their criteria. They don't really make these employees, because that's what they are, really physically capable of taking care of criminals. I mean, that's what this bears down to. Not to mention, if you have men locked up for periods of time, when you bring women into the equation, and some of them are sex addicts, sex perverts, and they're for sex cases, then now you're reintroducing one of the problems that they were having to begin with. The way they treat women, the way they objectively see them, things of that nature. Instead of trying to even key in on that and find out if that person is having those kind of issues and putting them in a proper environment for that, they just will let women work in these prisons that can come in sometimes with skin tight pants, makeup on, extremely well figured. And then on the other side, there's women that come in who are having self-esteem issues, who may be overweight or dealing with maybe whatever they're seeing the problem being within themselves, and it's not even that, it's just who they are. But now you have men that know how to prey on women like this. So now these women are there, and these men will build relationships within that 8-hour time, that time frame of seeing that same person every day. A lot of the men in prison, what are they doing? They're working out, they're getting tattoos, they're grooming themselves, they have nothing to do with their time. Now there's a woman there for them to talk to. There's a lot of cases when men will trick or coerce or build relationships with women. I've had 2 girlfriends while I was in prison that worked at the facility. Never had any sexual relations or anything like that. Yeah, none of that. So there are instances where that happens, rarely. Now, that's one of the problems or issues, so why not alleviate that problem or issue? Fine, have some women up front that are doing the staffing issues or working in certain areas, but I don't believe we should put women in danger, because that's what happens. If a male inmate decides he wants to grab a smaller female CO up and have his way with her until the other guards show up, he will. There was an instance when I was in a facility here in Ohio, and a female CO who had built a, I guess it would be called, she just got out of control. She built up too much confidence and felt she had too much authority over the inmates there. Well, one of them had came from a higher level to a lower level, And in doing so, he wasn't listening to this. He came from a state facility ran to a private, and she tried to make him do something he didn't want to do. Give her his music player, information player. It has all their like texting and stuff like that. I'll get into that in a moment. So he refuses to and warns her, if you do anything, I'm going to punch you, beat you up, whatever. I'm being very polite in the way he said it was probably a lot different. It gets to that point where he beats this woman half to death, to the point where other inmates have to pull him off of this CO. There was nothing she could do. She was powerless. All she had was this, and that wasn't enough. If you're dealing with psychopaths, people that unalive other people, if you're dealing with that walk of life, individuals that sit around and plan their next move for when they get out to probably end up coming right back, what is the recidivism rate these days, I wonder? Where is the real reform? They're giving inmates PlayStation 5. I've seen pedophiles playing PlayStation 5 with each other. Society is too lenient in a lot of ways. They justify people's actions through some sort of previous trauma that they had received throughout their life, and in some instances in generations before them. It's absurd. You know right from wrong, I know right from wrong, and so do they. And when they did them wrongs, they hid it until it came out into the light. If you're doing something that is not wrong, then you don't have to hide it. Plain and simple. Why hide it if you're not doing something wrong? So they keep hiding it, and eventually it comes out. So they look for their scapegoat or whatever it can be. Blame it on somebody else. Blame it on the past. Blame it on emotions. Blame it on some sick, weird fucking disease that don't even exist. All mental. People need dealt with to come back into reality. And the reality of it is, if you put people in a position to do a job that they are not physically or mentally capable to do, then you are at fault. So the prison system as a whole needs overhauled the same as the police system does. I know firsthand the barbarity and sickness that depraved people in prison have. That mentality of self and nothing else matters other than their desires, wants, and needs. Gratifications that they're seeking. A lot of them are just sick. So why put a woman in a position like that? They create life, by the way. They create life. So why would we go and put them with the people that take life? Makes no sense. Keep women, especially the more attractive the woman, the more the problem will be. It's that simple. There's nothing wrong with being attractive. As a matter of fact, it's a gift. It's an attribute. Use it properly. But don't put them in a position where there's all these sick weirdos gathering around to look at them and okay, so they have what's called Yard Day. And at Lake Erie in Conneaut, Ohio, there's a disciplinary prison. It's a mainly Cleveland, Youngstown, that area of the state. A lot of the inmates go there. Or if you just screw up real bad, they'll put you there too. It's a private ran prison. I spent some years there. Well, one Yard Day, they have a band come in every once in a while. They bring this guy in, and he brings his girlfriend with him. And he plays guitar. He's a rock and roll guy. If I think hard enough, I'll think his name up. He's on YouTube and stuff. They pay him to come and perform there with his girlfriend. Well, for whatever purpose, this woman decided she wanted to dance provocatively and was wearing real low-cut blouse. I mean, like, she's to the hilt. She's looking like what you would see in the back of a music video. If you were, you know, a young boy and that's all you had to look at, she would get the job done. Okay, and now she's being provocative with her movements and stuff. So yeah, they had an issue with gentlemen wanting to masturbate while the show was going on. That is freaking unreal. They should just mace the crowd. There was a crowd of these guys standing there doing it together. The Jack crew. Unreal. Why is nobody making people do what needs done? That's what I mean. Things have to go more hands-on. I've seen people stand in front of COs and cuss them and call them names. How do you get away with doing that to anybody in society, let alone somebody that's supposed to be your caretaker for a while? They get you your toilet paper, let you go to get your food, all this shit. I mean, the things I have seen are unreal. I could go on and on and on. Maybe we'll even have an episode where all I do is just tell you some prison stories, because, man, I've seen some sick shit. And that made me realize not to never break the law again. That's why I'd rather do things like this. Build, live, enjoy life. Life is way too short to worry about some bag or bling or bitches on your ding-a-ling or any of that shit. I really don't give a fuck, honestly. When I talk to this camera, to this thing right here, I know there's people on the other side that are watching this. But on the other end, I really don't care. I want you to watch it, and I want you to learn from this. But from my perspective, there's point A, point B. You live and you die. And one of them journeys within that ride was prison for me. And within that 8 years, I realized how fucked that place really is. And why? Because they want people to come back. It's like an amusement park. The funner it is, the more you want to come back. They drink, drug, fuck each other, get tattoos, play basketball, work out, play PlayStation 5 and other video games. We had flat screen TVs, nicer TVs than I've ever owned in my life. I've seen some really dope ass TVs in prison. Who paid for all that? And the food is that shitty. I would rather not have had the fucking PlayStations. I don't care about the TVs and sit around and watch sports and play your cards and all that. But I got an issue with the goddamn video games are for kids anyways. A juvenile facility, maybe if they did some bunch of stuff right and they got the privilege to use it. They don't even take these things from these people. They don't do anything. They just let them sit in there and do whatever the fuck it is they're doing and waste away. There's no real programming in there. There's inmate ran programs. Hell, I had a DVD player at my rack with porn. Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy. Your rack is your bedding area, by the way, and it's called a rack because in a warehouse they have racks and shelves that house numbered items, and 0477892 right here was housed in that rack. So that's why it's called a rack. Well, we'll be right back after a message from no one, because we don't have a sponsor currently and we could use one. If you're interested in sponsoring Cup of Joe with Poe, please go ahead and say something in the comments. We'll push your business, whatever. We'll throw the little business thing up here while we do the episode. People will just see it there, whatever. Maybe they'll be like, hey, you know what, I need to call Joe's Plumbing, and while I'm at work, my wife needs the goddamn drain plumbed because I can't do it no more. Yeah, something like that. I have no idea. Well, have a great day, because we got a lot of building to do here. We're bushcrafting also. So if you're into bushcrafting, you like to see things built from nothing by hand, no gas power, no electric power, just these. Huh? Let's get her done. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you're not following me, what the fuck? Wait, what? Follow. 1.